Hello, gamers. It's D&D Hobbyist Workshop, your buddy, D&D Daddy. Coming back to recap what happened in our April session. And man, a lot of stuff's going on. Um, the first thing is of my original 4 players, now I only have one player that's still there, which is Dayton. Way to stick in there, Dayton. Great job. Dayton's on a new character, but he is hanging in there and is dedicated and is really having fun. So we'll stick. We'll hope that train keeps a rolling. On top of that, I still have Connor. Connor's picked up Uriel, which was Mike's character, half elf rogue thief. Everybody else is gone. Kellen didn't have time to play anymore, and Riley, who was a friend of Kellen's, has dropped out because they just kind of wanted to play with Kellen. They were very much into gaming 6 months ago and are not so much into gaming anymore. So they just don't have time for D&D, but that's okay. Lots of compliments. They said they had a great time. Thanks for having us over. The adventures were very creative. I did a good job of explaining everything. They had fun with their characters. They liked their characters and kind of the things that I was doing with them. They liked the setting and the in-depth lore, the knowledge I have of the lore of the setting. But they just don't have time to cut out for D&D. Not just my D&D, but D&D on the whole. Basically, they're just not playing anymore. So I put up the LFG. I started digging, started poking, and I have a new player that has never played before. His name is Gabe. He will be playing a half-orc barbarian. He has not joined yet. He'll be joining in the May session. This is a recap for the April session. And I met Nick, and Nick has about 4 years of 5e experience, so we have another experienced player in there. Hopefully he's going to be adding a lot. He just jumped right in, picked a wizard, not real familiar with Forgotten Realms, totally joined an organization, and we got his hometown and everything. So he's playing a wizard named Wayne. So that's close to my heart as a guy who has characters named Greg and Steve and Scott and Walter. So very, very excited to have Nick in there. And so our session was the first session, or getting to the beginning of Tomb of Annihilation. Yeah, Tomb of Annihilation is kind of what I've been working towards for a year and a half. Not this Christmas, but the Christmas before, I got Tomb of Annihilation digitally and a hard copy because I had heard it was so well reviewed, and I really wanted to get in there. So finally getting to start that. So those are the players now. I have 4. I still have the LFG up. Figure might as well hedge my bets and try to get somebody in the funnel. We'll see how it goes. So with Tomb of Annihilation, so when last we met actually, before I get to that, I had talked about some of the handouts that I was using, some of the player aids, and I thought that I would show some of those just so you could kind of see them. These were from Lost Mine of Phandelver. So we had Glassstaff, and as you can see, we write notes on there. He's dead. Yarno Albrecht. Darren Eatermath was the guy who owned the orchard. This was the contact, and the guys actually stayed with him a good bit. And it says, Cider Orchard, retired adventurer, Order of the Gauntlet. So it's the notes to kind of help keep it straight. Wraith, that's what killed Gerbo. Initially they had the Black Spider. They didn't know much about the Black Spider, so we had the symbol from the letter when they killed Glassstaff. And then, sent goblins to capture Gundren. Has gone to Wave Echo Cave. They kind of kept notes on there. Sturges. So there's so many different representations of Sturges. I wanted to include what I thought the Sturge looked like when they were fighting Sturges. I think that was a really good one. It's kind of a mosquito bat. Sildar, that was my Sildar that I picked. He looked like a retired Griffin rider. Gundren, and I had all the brothers and everything. So I had these and would throw them out when we were playing. It seemed to help out. I also for Drums in the Marsh, I had these. So there were 3 different tribes of lizard folk. So I made 3 different tribes. So the dust, the root water, and the muck. And you can see they're all like distinctive. They're different. You can tell like if you were fighting one, which tribe you were fighting, if you figure that out. And of course the giant toad that ate Riley. And then the other thing that I was going to show was the deck of many things. We pulled from the deck of many things. I guess to go back into that, Dayton used the fate to undo ruin. So his artifact, armor, and gauntlets of ogre power and shield, all of his magical items that were ruined. So he avoided drawing the ruin card. So I made him draw a 3rd card. And he drew the sun, the same thing that Riley had drawn. So he gained a level and he got a wondrous item. And he drew, he rolled slippers of spider climbing, which I thought was pretty neat. So he's got slippers of spider climbing, which he's not too excited about. He'll probably sell them or trade them to a party member. But forged deck of many things. It's cardboard. It has a magnet to keep it closed. And like I said, these cards are kind of small. Forged. I got the black edge. Ooh, neat. Like I said, they are plastic and they're very minimal, right? Ruin, void. What's that one? The rogue, right? So very minimal. Donjon, right? But deck very effective. Yeah, worked really, really well. The star, right? Very minimal. 2 color, 3 color, 3 color, I think. I was really happy with it. Like I said, like $15. Very worth $15. So, okay. So that was the first thing we did. Nick came over a little bit early. We did our face-to-face then. Normally, I meet people first. Normally, I meet people for drinks, coffee, or beer, or what have you. But I hit it off with Nick. I could tell Nick was going to check all the boxes as far as I was concerned. So I wasn't especially concerned. I keep saying concerned. I wasn't especially concerned to have him jump right in, and it was very short notice. He had responded like 4 days out from the session. He was like, yeah. So he had actually played an online game Sunday morning, and then he came over and played offline with us, and he's been looking for an offline game, and I volunteered. I had reached out to him to join his offline game and said, hey, do you want to join in? And he was all about it. He and I have a Madison connection. He moved to Madison briefly right after my wife and I had left Madison, and there's a lot of cross paths, especially once you put Madison in the mix. So he came over like half an hour early, and we got a little background. We shared some information, some biography, and then Dayton came over and we drew his card, and then everybody was here. So the story was, they had met with the Harper agent, Lime. He came in and said, go meet Cinder Sylvain in Flan. The party went by Phandalin, and that's where Wayne was. Wayne is an agent of the Lord's Alliance. Gundren was a business partner with Sildar, who is of the Lord's Alliance. They wanted to avoid running money through the Zenorim. So Wayne was there to help negotiate and establish supply runs to the West Coast from Phandalin. So they'll be going through Flan, from Phandalin into Flan, and out to points to the west for the Lord's Alliance. So the Zinner, trying to cut the Zinnerim out of the process, keep this whole political thing going. So that's why Wayne was there. He liked what was going on in Phandalin. He had checked up. Yarno had died. Like, the Lord's Alliance had a lot of questions. But the town master was there. Sildar's still there. They sent Wayne in. He talked to him and was okay with everything and was ready to go back to Flan. The party came in so Uriel could talk about getting the money that he was getting from the mines sent through. I guess now it's going to be going through the Lord's Alliance, and he will have an account in their controlled bank. So Wayne basically asked, "Hey, what's up next? I'm heading to Flan. Are you guys heading to Flan?" "Yes, we're heading to Flan. Actually, there's a big problem. There's this death curse and a soulmonger, and oh my God, we got to go talk to this lady." So they went to Flan. They talked to her. I had added a character, an NPC. So they got to Flan. They met some of their contacts. They went to Sindra Sylvain, and answering the door was a hairless dwarf. This hairless dwarf, later on they learned his name is Talc. So I had added this manservant, dwarf servant, whatever, for Sindra Sylvain, especially since she was ill. It seemed like she needed like a close aid, someone to carry her bag, someone to, help so you could lean on as they were traveling through Port Nyanzaru and stuff like that. So I had added Talc. My naming convention for dwarves is that they are named after rocks. So Talc is a bit of a insult or a slur or derogatory of some kind. Talc or chalk or sand, pumice would be bad names. Galen and granite and shice being very strong names, warrior names, royal names. Marble. So I added him in. They met her. They talked to her. She shared some spells with Wayne. The rest of the party went shopping. They went and got... What did they get? They went shopping for sure. I know that they got a couple things. So they were in Flan for like a day and a half, maybe 2 days. And then she teleported them to Port Nyanzaru. While they were in Flan, Dayton's character, Beauregard Nibut, he met a street minister of Jurgal and shared some information with each other there. So he was able to connect. He left him one of the gems. So I think the gems are each 500 golds each. 500 gold pieces. So that guy got the blessing of Jurgal. They teleported to Port Nyanzaru. Tried to describe what teleport was like. What it was like going from Flan to basically ocean level, tropical, Port Nyanzaru, with all the colorful buildings and plants and flowers and dinosaurs and everything. Okay. There's always, afterwards it's like, oh, I forgot to mention this, or oh, I could have done that a little differently, but yeah, it was okay. I had bought from the DM's Guild a bunch of encounters for Port Nyanzaru. So again, the party is 5th level. I guess Bo is now 6th level because of the deck of many things, but we escaped the deck of many things pretty much unscathed, really, which I was concerned about, but fun, good stuff. So 5th level, there's, I'm not too excited to do a hex crawl. I'm not too excited to do a bunch of 1st level stuff. But in the packet of encounters for Portnai and Zaru, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the party started, they looked around, they investigated a little bit, and then they didn't know what to do. They were a little overwhelmed. So they just followed Cinder Sylvain to Wakanga, the Merchant Prince Wakanga's villa. She went inside, she got comfortable and settled in. Eventually they were brought inside to like a plaza, to like a central area. He offered them, like fruit juice that was chilled and everything, and they took advantage of that. They talked to him a little bit. He was not rolling very well on his insight, and they were not really talking too much. Like they were just kind of asking generic questions, so that wasn't going super well. That was kind of the recurring theme, which, again, we have a couple of new players, and we have a new player to the group. So I think everybody was kind of afraid to take the reins, maybe. So there wasn't a whole lot of investigation. There wasn't a whole lot of looking for rumors. There wasn't a whole lot, they went out. Oh, and I screwed up, so I let them stay at the villa. I had the Merchant Prince be very generous and offer them like a guest house to stay in, instead of sending them to one of the 2 places to stay, the inn or the House of Repose or whatever. I messed that up. As soon as I invited them to stay there, and they were like, okay, cool, I was like, messed that up. But I played that in a little later. So they went out to see the dinosaurs. So they went down to where all the animal pens are, and they went down there, and they were walking around, and I ran one of the encounters, which was a gambler that was down on his luck and upside down with a bookie. Basically became a terrorist in order to forgive some of his debts, to help even the odds or decrease the odds for the next dinosaur race. We played up the dinosaur race so much that they were kind of like, yeah, dinosaur race, we get it. But they met a dinosaur racer and breeder. They caught a terrorist. They know that there's a bookie. They know that there are town guards, and they kind of get an idea what some of these dinosaurs are and what they're used for. Bo bought a dinosaur. He bought a T-Rex, a Gorgonosaur, something like that. Gorgonosaurus, like a small T-Rex, basically. Because he wanted a T-Rex. So he's riding a T-Rex around. The party met. What was she? I think she was just a human. Human guide that wants to go recover a mask from the Terra folk. Oh, she's the were-tiger. Were-panther guide. So they met her down in the animal area and signed her on as a guide, and she recommended that they get gear and provisions and things to go before they go, and they agreed, and she was going to meet with them when it's time to go. And she was like, well, where are you staying? And they were like, oh, at the Merchant Prince's villa. And she was like, what? So they went from, you guys are total rubes and you're gonna get me this mask back, to, whoa, these guys are actually trying to save the world and they're staying with a print. Like, these guys are heavy hitters, right? These guys kind of came from nowhere and wow, they got a lot of money. They got a lot of credit. Like the conversation in 5 minutes like swung from one way to the other. So now she's actually a little bit excited to go out with them. Is kind of how I played it. Then, as they were leaving the area, they met the two failed treasure hunters and their flatulent triceratops. And that, I mean, it's funny. You can work it in, you know. I had them basically down on their luck and needing money and being like buffoons. Like, kind of, I played them sort of like the guys from Road to El Dorado. You know, the Bard and the Rogue kind of dynamic. But you know, the one's a noble fop, and the other one's his like yes man halfling BFF. So they you know they bought a treasure map. They followed the treasure map, and that's way out there. I mean, they made it to where the treasure map says to go. So it was a legit treasure map, and they made it there, and they made it back. So, I mean, say what you want, failed treasure hunters or not. I mean, they survived, you know, like a month out and a month back through Chult. So you know, they kind of came in with a lot of street cred once the party knew where it was, and they were down on their luck. The party bought them, you know, a meal and drinks and all of that. So that's pretty much all that happened. So yeah, I think the next session, and again, this will be the first session for Gabe, and it'll be Gabe's first session playing D&D ever. He was very interested in D&D. His father played D&D and always spoke very highly of it. And now finals are over, and he's got a little bit of time to give it a shot. He always wanted to. So we've made him a half-orc barbarian, and he'll be meeting up with them in Port Nyanzaru. And I think I kind of want to get him to pick up another guide or 2 or 3, or, you know, just get as many NPCs as they can. They met the one-armed dwarf, the dragon slayer, the would-be dragon slayer, and they were like real friendly to him. They fell right into conversation, and he was like, "Oh, maybe you can help me get my mines." And they were like, "Yeah, you know, we're kind of going that way." And he was he was like, "Yeah, well, you know, there's still that red dragon in there, you know, the one that ate me arm." Nick actually said, "Fuck this guy," and turned and walked away. It was as soon as he mentioned a red dragon, done with this guy. This guy is he's no good. We don't want him to do his. We'll go kick this shit out of some flying lizard men, but we're not dealing with a red dragon. So that was pretty funny. It was like, nope, full stop. Fuck this guy. We're out of here. And so that was pretty funny. So yeah, I'm gonna have them hopefully pick up some more guides, hopefully get some more rumors. They've gotten one rumor so far, which is like avoid blue fog. The blue fog might make you sick or crazy or something. So they got that. Like I said, they got the 2 guides. They told the dwarf to fuck off. There's still so many. I've got so many encounters. There's so many NPCs that they can talk to. There's so many like side adventures. There's Executioner's Run. There's Gladiatorial Pit. There's the Dragon Races. All of these things still to explore in Port Nyanzaru. I did explain to them, actually through Cinder Sylvain, you know, she was that it is a ticking time bomb situation, right? This people are dying that have been raised, and people that die can't be raised and aren't going to their respective afterlives, right? Their souls are being absorbed by the soulmonger, and that's what the death curse is. And she explained this to the party and said, while, it's important to be quick, to be mindful of how long things are taking, it's more important that they get all the information that they can, and they be prepared as they possibly can be before they try to resolve the issue, whatever it is. And she told them that, while she is the one who has invited them to help and to face the situation, she'll be dead before they get anywhere near their goal. She says, don't be hasty. Don't try to beat this before I die or before Rosamund Call dies, because we're going to be long dead before you're ready to face this thing. So take your time, follow all your leads, figure everything out you can, and be careful, because it's more important that you succeed than it is that you succeed quickly, that you try to resolve it as quickly as possible. And that made, it was a somber note. Everything got kind of quiet off of that. Yeah, I think that was a good play, because now they're looking at Firefinger, and they're looking at this sinkhole thing, whatever it is that the two treasure hunters found, and they're like, okay, these are kind of in that direction, and we can go that way. I need to get them to talking to more of the mystics, more of the divination people, more of the fortune teller type people in Portnai and Zaru and Inchult. I need to get them more tied in to the mystical side of things, to more tied into the Ubtao sort of things. I guess that's about it. There's just so much information to dump on them, and I felt like I dumped a lot on them, like they were getting fatigued. So we had a little bit of fun with farting dinosaurs and stuff. One-armed dwarves. So next session is 22nd of May. It's the 1st of May right now. And so in like 3 weeks. And it should be a good time. We'll have all 4 players. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that's all I have. Leave any comments, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Right now I don't think I have any people coming in. This is number 9, I think. So number 10, I was thinking about doing a little bit of my background, little biography and things about me and why I love D&D and like playing D&D with people, even strangers. Yeah, just passionate about it. It's a very good hobby. That's why I'm the D&D Hobbyist. So until next time, game on.